Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, the Anime Ambo here, coming back at you with part 5 of What If Obito Got a Second Chance, otherwise known as The Work of Fate on Wattpad. And if you guys want to read the story for yourself or don't like the way that I narrate things, that's totally fine, no offense taken. The link in the description will bring you to the story. Also, the link in the description will bring you to the Discord server. I separate them. If joining the Discord server just gives you access to notifications for when I'm going to record or post a video or what series is next. Also, we have decisions sometimes on what series to start next. We just had one, and it should be starting sometime soon. I'm not sure exactly when. No timeline yet. Software update will auto install. But yeah, so just join the Discord server. That'd be super cool. Also, we are on the road to 600 subs. I believe we're at like 540, something like that. I'm not really too sure. I didn't check it immediately before I recorded, so I'm not sure. But we're getting there, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, you already know we're definitely doing something special for 1,000, and I'm already gonna start to do something special for 500. I tried to do it the other day with the 2-hour upload. Sorry, there's a plane outside. However, the 2-hour upload it didn't want to work, so I'm going to have to either re-record that or do it for a different series because there's no way I'm going to reread that entire thing for 2 hours. That was already pushing it. But lastly, like, comment, and subscribe. I respond to all comments. I heart all comments, and I like all comments. I genuinely appreciate them, and I thank you guys for all the love and support that these series have been getting and my channel has been getting. We've been growing at a rapid rate. And so I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I'm really appreciative and very grateful for all you people that, watch and join, comment and all that jazz. You feel me? So, yeah, I think that's about it for me. I don't have anything else to address. So, yeah, without further ado, this is your boy, the Anime Ambu. And cue the intro, please. If you come back injured, you'll get more than my fist. Got that? Kushina told me with an already raised fist. It was morning of the Kanabi Bridge mission. Last time this happened, I didn't return home. But this time would be different. I was going to prevent Rin from getting taken, which will result in a chain reaction making sure that Madara wouldn't take me in. And then the mist won't kidnap Rin. Today is the day of a completely new future. A future where our Team 7 survived the war all together. Of course I won't. We'll all be back here before you know it, I told Kushina. But it was also a reminder to myself that no matter what happened, I couldn't let the past repeat itself. But luckily this time I'm not alone in this. I looked to Kakashi, who gave a reassuring nod, and I smiled back at him, showing my gratitude once again. We were all running through the thick forest, heading towards the point where we were supposed to separate from Minato the following day. I wonder how tough it'll be, I thought to myself, wondering truly how much of a fight we would put up against the Stone Ninja. The reason that Rin got kidnapped the first time was that me and Kakashi were fighting a bit away from her, trying to keep the enemy away, knowing that Rin doesn't have any jutsu very good in battle. So this time around, Kakashi would stay with Rin, only attacking them if they got into range. Otherwise, he would leave them to me. It's not that I'm afraid, I'm just on the safe side by thinking it over a couple times. I mean, it was all gonna happen tomorrow, right? Sorry, the wording, the spelling is a little messed up here. Tomorrow is the day everything started falling apart. Third person view. While leaping through the trees, there was a tense quietness over the group. While Obito and Kakashi were planning their strategy over and over again in their head, Minato was actually beginning to wonder if he should let them do the mission alone. I wonder, should I go with you? Minato quietly said to himself, but it was more than loud enough for the three youngsters to hear. Huh? Why would you suddenly say that? And can you even do that? You're not assigned to that mission. Obito protested, fearing that his sensei would interfere with their plan. I'm sure the Hokage could understand if I... Sensei! Kakashi cut him off and came to stop on a tree branch, making the rest of the group stop a few trees ahead. Why would you suddenly say that? I'm a proper Jonin and my abilities are on such a level that the Hokage feels safe assigning this mission to me. Why don't you? He said, don't you? That's literally what the word said, so... Yeah. Kakashi snapped at his sensei. It was mostly to protect the plan he and Obito had for the mission, but he was downright offended by the lack of trust coming from his mentor. Minato's head sank and the words sank in his mind. He wished he could tell Kakashi that it wasn't because he doubted his abilities, but because the current power level that Obito apparently had could be dangerous. While Minato still had his gaze averted and Kakashi was staring daggers, Obito and Rin quietly looked to each other as to ask what to do or if they should do anything at all. The problem was that it was rare to see Kakashi and Minato like this. They didn't know what to soon fear that they would only make it worse. They didn't know what to soon fear that they would only make it worse. Okay, that's literally what it says verbatim. You do realize how dangerous this mission is, right? Minato asked, still in a lower tone. Why suddenly ask that? I thought I made it clear. The mission would normally acquire more than one Jonin. Not one Jonin, one capable Chunin fighter, and a Chunin mostly specialized in healing. No offense. Obito's point of view. Of course, I don't know how Rin took that statement, but from her expression, she wasn't offended. I, of course, wasn't either. I knew that what he was saying was the truth. I had lived through the outcome once before. But he doesn't know that I'm at Jonin level, with capable S-class jutsu at my disposal. Not Jonin level, Kage level. Jutsu at my disposal. Not only that I remember the enemy's moves, that probably won't be as easy as we convince ourselves it'll be, but it'll have a much different outcome than the last time. Me and Kakashi will make sure of that. Sensei. I started trying to reason with him, but I was cut off with I don't want to hear it. He was clearly angry at me mostly, so I should probably just stay quiet this time. It's been like this for a while, hasn't it? You've completely lost faith in the team. Kakashi snapped once more, and I guess that did it for Rin. Still being the one to keep this team together, she decided to step up and stop the discussion right in its tracks. That's enough, alright. Kakashi, I'm sure Sensei has his reasons, but Sensei, you should show more faith in us, no matter the reason. Kakashi finally softened his gaze and let out a deep and long sigh before nodding, while Sensei straightened his back, his smile and spirit returning and then thanking Rin for stepping in. Rin was right. There was a reason that Sensei was like this, and I had a feeling that I had to look a bit more into that before he perhaps figured everything out. We can't have that now, can we? Sorry, that's the end of that chapter. But yeah, the spelling was throwing me off a little bit. Some of the words were, I don't know. It just threw me off a little bit. Alright, let's continue. Right, I'll go look for some dry wood for the fire, I said and then quickly ran off. We had gotten here a little later than we should have, mostly due to that argument in the forest, and because of that argument, everyone was a lot on edge. Rin was sad and decided to keep her distance. Kakashi was still offended and wouldn't even acknowledge Minato's sensei. Minato was deep in thought and did not think whatsoever to make up for his actions, and I decided it was best to keep my distance as well, since I had a feeling Minato was right on my trail. I had ventured a bit into the forest surrounding our campsite. I wasn't stupid. Minato was following me. It didn't even seem like he tried to hide his presence, so I asked, "What is it, Sensei?" He jumped down from a tree and stood behind me in silence for a few moments. "We need to have a serious talk, Obito." He sounded tense and on his guard. How much longer can I hide this? I questioned myself, knowing that this would be it, or at least a close call. "Alright, let's talk," I told him with my head held low. 3 weeks ago you changed. You became tense. You were on guard, and I believed what you said when you said it was because of Rin. But you lied, and I've known that for a while now, Obito. I'll have you explain how you got the Mangekyo Sharingan. He had begun to raise his voice. How did you find out? I asked silently, knowing I had to watch my words right now. That's truly all you have to say, Minato said. Should I see you as a threat, Obito? How did you find out? I asked once again because I didn't know how to answer Minato's question. A mere 3 weeks ago, I was the other world's enemy, But what now? Did these few acts of righteousness erase all the horrible things I'd done? I wouldn't say so. But how could I ever tell Minato that? When we returned from the mission, we were protecting the feudal lord's grandfather. I flinched. I'd gone to the river to see if I still had my Sharingan. At the river. It was more of a statement than a question. Minato slowly nodded. But how didn't I sense you? At that, Minato seemed to be taken over by confusion. Because you're not a sensor. He stated like he truly believed he was right, and he wasn't. It's true that the Sharingan gave sensory-like abilities, given that you can see chakra flow. But while in the Akatsuki, the need to be able to sense people from a distance became needed. Because of that, I trained and quite advanced as a sensory ninja. Wrong. That was all I felt I needed to say. I'm unsure, Obito. You're 13 years old and have achieved a Sharingan spoken of in legends. How? He became more angry by the second. Not that I didn't understand why. After all, I wasn't giving him any clear answers. Sensei, you wouldn't understand. I tried to explain. Oh, how I wanted to tell him the truth. How I wanted to truly pay for my actions, but I couldn't risk it. It was too much of a gamble. Minato narrowed his eyes. He clearly wasn't satisfied with the answer I gave him. I'm gonna ask you again. How? His tone was hard and indicating that I would be in trouble above head level if I didn't answer him. So, once again, I had to lie to him, hoping that he'd not notice the complete truth. But I would put a little crumb of truth in there. The Mangekyo can be obtained through serious trauma, at the scale to what you would get by killing your best friend. But I easily get scared, so imagine my fright and utter terror when I found out I was related to Madara Uchiha. What? Madara Uchiha is an Uchiha ancestor. Every Uchiha is related to him somehow. You share the same surname. It would hardly be a surprise. He's my great-grandfather, Sensei. What I was telling him was true. At one point in time, I had come to figure out my heritage, and that I was the great-grandson of one of the most evil powers the Land of Fire had ever seen. Guess it lays in the family. Continue. Because I like you guys, and this is going to be more... God damn, only 9 minutes? Alright, I was going to continue anyways, because it's only 9 minutes in, but we're going to keep going. I'm going to make this part a little bit longer for you guys, because I know you guys enjoy it, so I'm just going to do it for you, okay? Minato's point of view. He's my great-grandfather, Sensei. I was shocked. Should I feel bad for him about this? After all, it was truly a big burden. After all, for someone who wishes to be Hokage to find out that they're related to the biggest threat the Fire Country and Village had ever seen. But it could very well be another lie like the last time I questioned him. Why should I believe you? I don't know. I have a piece of paper on it back at home, but that'll hardly prove anything. He said and shrugged his eyes, filled his eyes a little? I don't know. What happened to him being scared and shaking like he did before? Does he not understand what a grave situation he's in? If he does, then he's suddenly not showing worry. The opposite. He shrugs and rolls his eyes at my question. I really want to cancel this mission, you know. You can't do that! Sensei, please. You have to trust me for a little while longer. Obito's point of view. I couldn't allow him to do that. Ever since I traveled back to this time, everything inside my head tells me we have to complete the Kanabi Bridge mission. And now that I had a plan as to what to do, but I haven't told Kakashi, and I'm not planning to. This is a mess, and I have to clean up it alone, after all, at least partly. I will always accept Kakashi's help when it comes to stuff like this, but when it comes to Madara, you sure are making things hard for me, Obito. My thoughts were interrupted by Minato. He continued. I've always seen you as a bright boy. You loved your village and your comrades. You were someone who could definitely become Hokage, but now that you've changed, things like that doesn't seem to matter to you as much. You've grown cold, Obito. Heritage or not, it's worrying you. It does matter. I'm doing all this for a reason, Sensei. You might not understand. Not Rin either, but I'm doing this for my comrades of the future. I did that on purpose. He couldn't possibly figure out the message behind those few words. Your comrades for the future? What does that mean? I mean, sure, I'm not all alone in the future, right? Kakashi, Ram, you, and everyone else is probably by my side in the future too. The next generation as well. They deserve a good future. And it's this generation's job to make sacrifices to make sure of that, right? The surprise was carved clearly into Minato's face. Are you sacrificing your happiness? Your morals? I'm sacrificing my childhood. A childhood that was already destroyed. A destroyed childhood? You always smiled, Obito. You were happy. I was smiling, but I tricked everyone into thinking I was happy. And as years passed, I ended tricking myself as well. But now I know better. It'll probably take some time, but this way I might be able to be truly happy while being myself. Minato lowered his head, making his golden bangs cover his eyes. Let's go back to camp, he said silently. What? Oh, that's right. You were actually supposed to gather firewood, right? He began sounding happy again, but was it a mask? Did he actually believe me? Yeah. And with that, he puffed in a cloud of smoke, a shadow clone. Of course I should have known. I chuckled quietly to myself, running my hand through my short hair. Sorry for the wait, guys. I said while placing the firewood so that it pointed upwards. It probably hadn't been that long that I was gone, but that talk with Minato made it feel like hours. Don't worry about it, Minato said. How ironic. Yeah, you weren't even gone that long, you know, Kakashi said and got over to the stack of wood I had placed to light it on fire with a simple fire jutsu. I went over to the long log that was placed close to the fire where Rin was sitting, and Kakashi joined. So tomorrow is your first mission as team leader, Kakashi. Are you excited? Rin asked, trying to break the silence. I don't know if excited is the right word. Then what is the right word? Ready. I couldn't help but smile at Kakashi's response. Ready. That's the word he needed to describe the feeling in his chest, huh? That's so like him. You're not nervous? It was Minato who asked. He was sitting by the fire cooking some fish that Rin had caught in a small river not too far away. There's just rivers everywhere, huh? No, I'm not. The three of us improved our teamwork, and everyone is going to make it unscathed. That's right. We're all going to make sure of that. I told him with a big smile that I knew he couldn't see through. He couldn't see that I was lying. Damn. A lot of cap. A lot. I'll get... Listen, alright. No matter the time. I'm going to get through chapter 20 for you guys. Because it's chapter 17. I'm going to just read it. I'm just going to go. Okay? For you guys. Special. You're welcome. Alright. We're going to chapter 20. We're on chapter 17 right now. So let's go. Obito's point of view. I had just fought the stone ninja that would have taken Rin if I hadn't traveled back in time. Being at the level I am now, it was quite easy fighting them off, but it was also calming to know that Kakashi would protect Rin. Are you guys alright? Yeah, I was a bit shaken. It was a bit too close for comfort, Rin said, a little shaken up. After all, they had tried to go after her exclusively, probably because they saw her as the weakest link. I made sure to act as if we got close to losing. Couldn't let the enemy know my true strength was yet. And you, Kakashi? I asked, seeing that Kakashi had gotten a few scratches here and there fighting off the guys while having to focus non-stop on Rin. With his current power level, I should have seen it coming. Don't worry, it's only a few scratches, he told me while brushing the dust off of his clothes. I could easily heal those, you know. Rin tried to inform her teammate but was cut off. No, you shouldn't. You should store your chakra. But isn't it over now? It should have been. That is, if we stuck to the plan from last week. No, it's not over. We just need to go after them. I told her, trying to sound reassuring. But why? They're not a problem anymore. Maybe, but we shouldn't take chances. They could very well be stationed around here to make sure nothing happens to Kanabi Bridge. Kakashi finished the explanation for me. Oh, I see. They could very well interfere more if we don't stop them in their tracks. Exactly. And with that, we headed to where Kakashi's nose was leading us. At least, that was our excuse. The truth was that I remembered the way. Every single fact, every single smell, every single sensation of this mission was engraved in my mind. And this was where I took my downfall. This is where it's not going to happen again. But this time I'll return, knowing... But this is where it's going to happen again. But this time I'll return, knowing it'll be okay. I've informed Kakashi of everything he needs to know, and he'll protect Rin until I get back. Noticing we were at the enemy's hideout, I gave Kakashi a little sign that Rin didn't notice. We're here. Kakashi whispered and made a sign to stop the large branch on the tree surrounding the hideout. We were sitting there, observing. Inhale, exhale, tap, tap, tap. I heard. Those actions weren't mine, Rin's, or Kakashi's. It was that invisible ninja. Quietly, I took out my kunai. I felt him right behind me. This was something Kakashi wasn't prepared for, so when he noticed, he panicked. Obito! He only got to finish saying my name before I turned around and stabbed the ninja who had sliced Kakashi's eye in half in the past. The kunai wound was deep enough to make him fall unconscious, but not enough to die. I'd rather not kill again. No matter what these guys did, it can't compare to the horrible deeds that I did. Obito, your Sharingan! Rin shouted, but quickly covered her mouth, noticing her mistake. I smiled at her. For the first time, Rin saw my complete Sharingan. It made me happy to see what proud look in her eyes. Unfortunately, I had to cut the nice moment off. We need to go inside the cave. Maybe we can even find information in there to help end the war, Rin said optimistically, and I nodded. She was right. Maybe this can help end the war. It could save hundreds, maybe thousands from getting killed if we find something good. Let's go, Kakashi said, and jumped off the branch, already heading for the cave, soon following suit by me and Rin. We got to the cave's entrance relatively fast and without getting attacked. What? They're just kids, you moron! The guy yelled, obviously at his unconscious teammate on the ground by the big three. Or a big tree. He's spelling 3 into a tree. Never mind. Oh, I remember this guy, Kakyo. Over the many years I had come to learn his name, the stone shinobi with the brown afro, the man me and Kakashi fought using my Sharingan as our base for teamwork. In the original timeline, that is, he was also the man who made the cave collapse, and he was going to do it again. He had to. Rin wasn't a fighter, she was a medical ninja, important backup, in which case she had to stay back from the fight. Rin, yeah, I know, I'll stay back for this one. I was afraid that if Kakashi got carried away, he would kill Kakyo. I couldn't let him do that. Just I needed him alive, not too injured, to not wave hand signs. It took no time before Kakyo overcame his stiffening rage and began charging at us. And me and Kakashi followed suit. To me, the fight was quite easy, almost childish. I was using my kuna. Kakyo was using the blades on his arm, and Kakashi was using his father's tanto. While Kakyo was distracted from all the slashes of weapons, I did exactly like I did as a child. I kicked my leg up, pushing his arm back, while supporting my weight with one arm on the ground, a great opening. This led Kakashi to slash Kakyo across the chest. It was exactly like last time, which should mean that if he was still alive and functional. But to be sure, I looked over my shoulder, just glancing to see if he was still breathing, and he was, barely conscious. Good. We could use Rin for the next part, so I called her over. Guys, that was totally awesome, and you actually worked together without bickering, she said, obviously happy with the change in attitude towards each other. Thanks, I said, rubbing my neck. Despite that, it was an easy fight. I felt rather proud of myself when Rin put it like that. Now let's see if there's any valid information. Kakashi said for the back wall of the cave, where it looked like they had been storing something. Mostly scrolls. After a very quick look around, we found out that this was yes. It was... What? That was a yes. Oh. It wasn't anything truly groundbreaking. Mostly mission reports, but at least it was something. I'm sure it could be useful. So we gathered them together. I made sure to glance behind me now and then. I could see Kakyo slowly crawling his way out of the cave. A few minutes at the most. I had thought this moment through for 18 years. I knew exactly when and where the rock would fall. I knew where I should position myself. Luckily this time I can minimize the damage using Kamui. The problem is that I can only use it for 5 minutes in a streak, so I would get severe damage. But I survived it once. I can again. Earth release. Rock lodging destruction. Kakyo yelled out. It was the jutsu that made the cave collapse upon itself. Everyone out, I yelled, and we quickly began sprinting towards the exit. Halfway there I slowed my pace just a little. That should do it. Rin and Kakashi were in a good position. They wouldn't get hurt. The loud rumbling intensified. This would cause the boulder to fall in 3, 2, 1. I looked up and sure enough, I saw a big boulder ripping itself loose from the top of the cave. Here goes nothing. Those were my last thoughts before I felt the boulder make impact, but immediately I activated Kamui, making sure the damage wouldn't be as severe as last time. Maybe a minute passed before the collapsing ended for the time being. Obito! I heard Rin yell in terror, making my heart clench. I opened my one visible eye that I had closed due to the dust of rock. Just like last time, Rin was sitting next to me, pressing my palms against her lips, preventing her sobs from reaching my ears. But why? Kakashi asked as he slowly fell onto his knees. Why? He whispered once more. In my mindset, this was the opposite of what was supposed to happen. Sorry. I was a bit surprised by my own stutter. My throat was dry and sore. My head hurt. Maybe the damage of the impact or all the dust I was breathing in. Sorry, you guys. This wasn't how it was supposed to turn out. I managed to get out a few words out of my dry throat without a single stutter, but it was a lie. I guess Kakashi figured that out from the look he was giving me. Anger, sadness, hurt, maybe betrayal. I couldn't identify it in his eyes. Maybe it was a mix of all of them. Obito, I'm so sorry. Rin tried to say something, but her sobs got the better of her. But I knew what she was gonna say. I know. Nothing can help me now. Thank you, though. I ended my sentence with a cough and an expression of pain. My 5 minutes had passed. Now the entire weight of the boulder was crashing my right side, but soon enough, I felt nothing there anymore. Probably my nervous system being completely wrecked. What do you mean, thank you? I feel so useless. Only a medic like Tsunade could fix this. You're not useless in any way. You saved me more times than I can count. Thank you for that. I felt her take my almost limp hand into hers. She gave it a little squeeze. And Kakashi, I'm glad I got to experience what it was like to be your friend. Yeah, and right back at you. Thank you. To Rin, it might have been a mystery as to what Kakashi was thanking me for, but I knew. Thank you for all the warnings. Thank you for telling me about the future. Thank you for being my friend. That's what it meant. Soon enough, the cave started rumbling and shaking again, causing rubble to land near us. Give him hell, I told Kakashi, and he headed out to fight Kakyo in his backup. While Rin still sat by my side, holding my hand tighter than before, we sat in silence, only hearing the faint sound of metal against metal, and a Chidori, and a complete Chidori at that. A minute of silence had gone by till we saw Kakashi peek his head over the top of the rubble, looking down at us. At that moment, the cave shook much greater than before, causing big rocks to fall all around again. We need to go! Me and Kakashi yelled at the same time, but Rin didn't let go, so I had to snatch my hand away from hers, encouraging her to go. But Obito! Go with Kakashi, Rin. Kakashi promised me you'll keep Rin safe from now on. Yeah, I promise. Kakashi told me calmly, and he forcefully grabbed Rin's hand and pulled her out. The last thing I heard before being covered by layers of rock was Rin yelling my name out in desperation. Oh! Here's your advertisement for the video. Yo, guys, you guys should listen. You're welcome. I'm just gonna say you're welcome now. Here's your little advertisement breakdown. Drink some water. I have my water right here. You already know I do. Drink your water. Alright, hydrate yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your business. You know what I mean? And yeah, let's get back into the video. This one's gonna be long, like 40-50 minutes, so shoot, I hope you enjoy. Minato's point of view. I knew something had been wrong with him. He hadn't acted like himself for weeks. Sure, his ninjutsu, taijutsu, and kenjutsu had improved. That's not even counting his Sharingan abilities and the Mangekyo ability that I never got to know about. I threatened him, and I was in my right place to do so, but I never wanted him to get that hurt, and to die such a long and painful death. I was sitting on a big rock out in the middle of nowhere. That was where we had regrouped. The moment I saw them, I knew something was terribly wrong. The fact that Obito wasn't with them made it obvious, but I denied it till they told me. Obito had been crushed under a rock and afterwards buried alive. The only thing left were his orange goggles. I looked down to see Rin and Kakashi sleeping soundly beside the rock I was sitting on. I wondered how big the rock that hit Obito was. Maybe this big. I thought and put my palm on the rock I was sitting on. It was a frightening thought. I regret what I said. I wish I could have had one more light-hearted talk with you like the ones we used to have about you becoming Hokage. I thought and looked over towards the dark sky, hoping that somehow my thoughts would reach him, wherever he was now. Obito's point of view. My head pounded. It hurt unbearably so. I felt the pain before I woke up, but when I came to a mere second later, I tried lifting my dominant arm to hold my pounding head, but at the movement, the pain in my right arm tipped the scale completely. That was painful. I was disoriented. Where? Who? I asked when my eyes adjusted to the light of the torches put on the wall, and then I heard dragging footsteps. In between this life and the other. As for who, I'm merely an old man who saved you. That voice, why does it sound like... Weakly, I was able to turn my head and look at the old man in his single uncovered eye. Madara. My confusement disappeared. I understood and I remembered. Kanabi Bridge, the boulder, Rin, Kakashi, and now one of my goals. Find Madara. Check. Stop or kill Madara. In progress. Oh, you saved me, old man? Thank you. I wanted to throw up at that sentence, but right now I had to play along. My body couldn't withstand the impact of the boulder, even with the use of a 5-minute range kamui. I was weak and my body was wrecked, but this time the rehabilitation would be easier. I had learned what was less painful and had to even make the painful exercises less painful. Also, which exercise would work best for me. I learned the last time. It's too soon to thank me. You will repay me one day. Don't count on it. Repay you? Yeah, sure, it's my motto to help the elderly. Need help with bathroom stuff? I said this as a child, and I said it now, and he didn't get angry with me. He didn't think I knew better, but I knew that Madara hated this. He hated his age and the fact that he was old and weak. Madara simply couldn't leave the past behind, and this was one of his weaknesses, definitely. That would be good. He answered with the same indifferent expression on his face. I couldn't read him. I'd never been able to. I bit my tongue trying not to scoff at that. You look a lot like one of the guys from my books, I said, wanting to get to the point of his identity as soon as possible. Oh, is that so? he said, and slowly turned around to walk towards that chair of his. I also know every elder in Konoha. And you're not one of them. I narrowed my eyes at the back of the old man, wanting him to answer. I'm merely an Uchiha ghost. Yeah, I noticed your Sharingan, but you're making this more confusing than it has to be. I couldn't help but scoff at him. My name is Madara Uchiha. He groaned while sitting down in his wooden chair in front of the quite terrifying Geto statue. Madara Uchiha? As in my great-grandfather? One of the Konoha Gakure founders? I asked, probably too calm because he seemed to notice. Yes, you do not seem surprised by this. Is it that you don't believe me? I must admit that his answer was quite surprising, saying that he wasn't phased at the fact of me being his great-grandchild. I suppose that he probably already knew. Considering what I just went through, I had an open mind as to what's possible to survive. Considering what I just went through, I have an open mind as to what's possible to survive. And as I said, you look a lot like the Madara from our history books, so I do believe you. I said, trying to use logic to overwrite the fact that I seem to already know. You are a smart boy, more so than it states in your report. My report? You mean the report stating my skill set once I turn Genin and Chunin? Yes. Guess he has the Zetsu to thank for that one, I thought. After all, there was no other way for him to get his fingers upon that report. And Zetsu was great at gathering information, and Madara couldn't leave the Geto statue's side due to the needed life support. I'm smarter than people take me for. And why is that? Sometimes the most genius thing to do is make people think you're an idiot. I answered him truthfully, which brought a small smirk to his lips, and I thought I heard him mutter, indeed. Chapter 19. We're getting close, guys, alright? Obito's point of view. I had now been in Madara's lair for a long time. How long, I didn't know. I couldn't see outside, and there wasn't any calendar or anything indicating how long I'd been trapped there. And honestly, it was bringing the anger and anxiety out of me. After all, I had no idea how long it would be before the hidden mist tried to attack and kidnap Rin. I didn't even know if they already had. It is quite possible. Kakashi would be protecting her, so maybe the mist never got their hands on her. Hey, a guy can hope, right? But I do know that I've been here a long time. My artificial arm made of Hashirama cells had grown and pretty much looked like my old arm. Well, my 13-year-old self's former arm, that is. And it about looked strong. That is it looked stronger, better, less scarred, more pale, ghostly pale. Kakashi's point of view. Obito had informed me of everything. When, how, why. I had all the answers I needed to work against the assault of the hidden mist, but I had to be close to her. How do I casually ask her to hang out without being way off of my normal self? Wanna come along? We've been invited to dinner by Kushina, I asked Rin while I was standing on the door. Huh? Yeah, sure, but why? She asked, tugging a strand of hair behind her ear. She was clearly confused by the fact that I was being social for once since Obito died. I kind of went back to my old self, being salty over the fact that Obito didn't tell me of his plan. But no matter if I knew he would survive, it was still pretty traumatic watching him being crushed by that rock, though. And yes, I know that Obito is alive. He told me he survived last time, so he probably did this time as well. Why haven't I told anyone then? Because Obito has his reasons. I saw it visible in his eye that day, when he was trapped underneath that boulder. I don't know, I shrugged. Maybe she's lonely now that Sensei is gone on a mission. Yeah, maybe. She snickered and took her jacket by the door. I'd love to come, she said, and closed the door behind her. Her parents are probably out in town or something. Hi, you two. Come on in, Kushina said and led us inside her and Sensei's house. It smells really good, Kushina. What are you cooking? Rin exclaimed, and I had to agree. It really did smell very good. Aw, thank you. I've made some hayashi rice. Hope it tastes as good as it smells, Kushina said while hugging Rin. She tried to bring me into a hug, but I wouldn't let her. My action made Kushina laugh at me. She let go of Rin and went in to check on the food, but still kept us up a conversation with us. So why'd you want to do this, Kakashi? Why'd you want to do this, Kakashi? Kushina suddenly asked me, making me flinch. She wasn't supposed to mention that. Kakashi said you invited us. Rin told her the lie I told her. Really? Well, he came here a few hours ago and asked if the two of you could eat dinner here, she said while turning her face to me in a cocky manner. I'm sure she thinks she knows what's going on, but she doesn't. Aw, Kakashi. Deep down, you really do have love for us. A tough boy facade is crumbling. She sang the last sentence, making fun of me. Guess it has to be me she bullies now that Obito's gone for a while. I told myself mentally, come here and give us a hug. Kushina sang already, spreading her arms, waiting for me to walk into her embrace. You better hurry, Obito. I continued getting slightly anxious at the thought of dealing with this for an entire year. Nobody's point of view. After the group of 3 had eaten a well-prepared dinner, they decided to go to the couch section of the house. So, do you want to play a game of cards? Yeah, sure. They all agreed to it, ending up picking the game Go Fish. Do they even have that? They handed out 5 cards each and Kushina started off. She said, rearranging her cards in her hand a bit. Kakashi, all your number 5s. Kakashi, all your number 5s? I don't know. Go Fish. Oh, are your number 5? Do you have the number 5? Okay. And so with the groan, Kushina reached into the stack of the fish pond stack of cards. And so a couple rounds went by, only focusing on the game at hand. Kushina, your 5s. Kakashi says, showing a small glint in his eyes. How'd you get a 5? When Rin made me go fish. With a sigh of defeat, Kushina surrendered her 2 cards of the number 5. Anyway, Kakashi, why did you want to come have dinner? Kushina asked, momentarily putting her hand of cards down on her lap. Kakashi surprisingly hadn't thought this far ahead. In all honesty, he had thought the mist would attack by now. I've been distant. It was wrong of me. Use an easy excuse. Yes, but we've all been distant since Obito died, Rin said, saddened by remembering her friend's death. And no offense, but you were normally like this before his death anyways, Kushina said, trying to bring Kakashi up from the pit of guilt he threw himself in. You see, I did it with you guys, but I started to become really good friends with Obito. This rather shocked the 2 females, and they knew that their random fights about literally anything had come to an abrupt stop. But friends, they hadn't been brought up. After the mission with the feudal lord's grandchild, I went to speak with him. I didn't get an answer as to why he had been so tense, but I think I loosened our relationship. We talked a lot, and he was a good guy. Wish I'd realized it sooner. Kakashi, this is so unlike you. What made you come to this? What did you talk about? He knocked some sense into me by talking to me about my father. Rin gasped at that. The day of Obito's death, Minato didn't want any more secrets on the team and asked Kakashi to tell us about his past. It took a little convincing, but in the end it got out. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are regarded as scum, but those who will abandon their friends are far worse than scum. That's what he told me, and it kind of struck me. That sounded so like him. I'm glad he got through to you. You know, Kakashi, Obito's always wanted to be your friend, but since you were in another league, Obito never approached you. I'm sure he would be glad to hear you say this. Yeah, I'm sure he would. I'll tell him when he gets back. He finished inside his own head. We're on chapter 20. This is the last one, guys. We are close to the finish line. This is a 35-minute part. I hope you guys enjoyed the long part, okay? We'll make this a little special for you. 500 sub special, 40-minute episode. We'll go with that, because this is going to take so long to export and upload. Let's continue. Kakashi's point of view. Go fish. I told Rin when she asked for a 7, which I didn't have. But before she could even reach in the fish pond stack, one of the windows in the living room shattered. What the? Kushina immediately got up and yelled, angered and shocked by the intrusion. The mist, I thought, and it brought a distaste to my mouth. I had hoped that they wouldn't go to all the trouble and just give up seeing that Rin wasn't alone. There she is! Grab her! One of the ninjas, having made his way through the window, yelled and pointed to Rin, who froze up in shock. No way I was gonna let them get to Rin. I took my tanto that I had sat by my chair and unsheathed it. I saw the guy by the window making signs. Ox, snake. My brain and body reacted faster than I could process. The next sign was Ram. It was a low-class and very often used mist technique. Hidden mist jutsu. They were planning to take her in a smoke screen, but I was going to make sure that their plans were foiled. I sliced him across the chest. The pain and shock did so that he didn't manage to finish the jutsu. Huh? I was deeply confused when the room started to fill with the thick mist, but I stopped him. Before the room was completely covered, I saw the group still hiding out on the roof of the neighbor's house. It was one of them that cast the jutsu. It must have been. I'm an idiot. Kakashi, Rin, come to me. We quickly leaped to Kushina, who we could barely see at this point. We heard them slowly making their way in. We could hear them and we could hear when they stepped on the shattered glass of the floor. Suddenly I could hear a metal tearing clearly through the air. They had made the first move. Wind style, shield of wind count. Kushina yelled and waved her hand in a circular motion in front of us. Due to that, the kunai that had been thrown had bounced right off of her defensive wind style. I just need to get to Minato's office down the hall, she whispered through the clenched teeth. Third person view. Kakashi felt much more secure having Kushina with them. She didn't experience Jonin and the Jinchuriki the Nine Tails. Clearly she must have been targeted before Obito did it in the future, right? Kakashi told himself to keep the rising stress down. He never felt like this during battle, this drained. He was expected that for the first time in years he was scared, because now he actually had something to lose. He didn't want Rin to get taken, and he didn't want Obito to hate him if he couldn't keep his promise of protecting Rin, just like it happened in the original timeline. Kakashi, focus! Kushina demanded, punching one of the charging ninja in the face hard enough to knock him out. You're a Jonin! Those 3 words rebooted Kakashi's brain. He was a Jonin. At the age of 13, he was strong and exceptional. He could protect Rin. Kushina, is there anything in Sensei's office that can help us? Then go. I'll keep it going here. Kakashi said, pushing a ninja trying to kill him off of him. Yeah, and I'll help too. Rin piped in. She was not a fighter type, but she refused to let her dear ones fight so hard to protect her. Rin, you're the one they're after. Just stay low. She wanted to argue, but she chose not to. The last thing Kakashi needed on his plate was an argument with her. You two. Kushina tried to reason as to why she shouldn't leave the 2 of them. Just like Obito, she had never been one for abandonment. But Kakashi cut her off, finishing off another Mist Ninja while doing so. We'll be fine, I'm a Jonin, he said. Oh my gosh, I lost the plot. He said, using her own logic against her. Kushina had left and the fighting got very intense. While having to stay in the same place to protect Rin, he couldn't see his enemies or how many there were. But Kakashi guessed it was about 12. But against that many Anbu level shinobi, he was getting slowly overpowered and was getting injured. But suddenly, through the thick mist, he could see a yellow flash. Is that? He cut himself off, hearing the screams and groans of the mist shinobi getting overpowered by Sensei. With relief, Kakashi could fall to his knees and adjust his eyes as the mist cleared out. Sure enough, there stood a very concerned Minato Namikaze, and on the ground was 15 dead or at least unconscious Mist Ninja. I counted wrong, Kakashi noted. About time, Kushina stood in the hallway that went to Minato's office, and in her hand she was holding one of Minato's marked kunai. And it was then that Kakashi remembered. Pour chakra in the seal and it will alert Minato. He'll come to rescue. Are you alright, Rin, Kushina, Kakashi? He went over to his wife, worried by her light injuries. We're fine, Minato. We were lucky. Actually, I think medic, please. Kakashi pleaded instead of choosing a long and stoic speech. Don't worry, it's not too bad. I can handle it for you, Rin said, already pouring chakra into Kakashi's wounds to heal him. What happened? Was this because of... Minato questioned but chose not to finish. Instead, he focused his gaze upon Kushina's stomach where the Nine Tails was sealed. No, they weren't after me. They were after Rin. Kushina said and looked to Rin in concern. Minato did the same. It worried him. Rin, are you alright? He made sure to ask first, making sure she felt safe. If it had scarred her mentally, she wasn't one to hide her injuries, which probably meant she had none. Did they make sure to not hurt her? Minato asked himself, fully knowing how suspicious it was for her not to have a single scratch. I'm fine, just a bit shaken up, she stuttered, still not taking her eyes off Kakashi's shoulders, which she was currently healing. Can you think of any reason they might be targeting me? No, I have no idea. I'm so confused, she said and began to tear up. Maybe now's not the right time to talk it through. Do you want to stay the night now that your parents are out of town? Yes, please. Task 2 complete. We prevented Rin's kidnapping. We're gonna end it off there. How does the story change now that Rin doesn't get the 3 tails? I think it was the 3 tails. I'm not too certain. I hope you guys enjoy this longer video. I'm gonna go eat. I haven't eaten today and it's 1 in the afternoon. So, yeah. And then we're going to record what is Naruto Ben and Konoha, because that is the next series to drop today, okay? You guys have been showing major support on this series specifically, so that's why I'm really pushing this one a little bit more now, because you guys are hitting like goals and you guys are, supporting it. So I hope you enjoy this longer series, or this longer part. I hope you appreciate cut out there. I'm just going to do the outro then, alright? first and foremost, like, comment, subscribe. Discord link in the description. Story link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this part, this longer style. I respond to all comments, heart all comments, and I like all comments, and I genuinely appreciate them. So yeah, thank you guys, and without further ado, this is your boy the Anime Abu. I'm out. Deuces.